welcome to Turn the Page, the official podcast of the Syosset Public Library.
Hi, this is Jessica with Syosset Library's Turn the Page podcast. I am here with the author, Emily Carpenter, who wrote a really cool book called Gothic Town. Was that last year or 2 years ago?
Gothic Town was last year.
Okay. It's
yeah.
everything is like molding together in my mind. So I'm like, maybe it was 2 years ago, but I feel like it was last year. But we are back with A Spell for Saints and Sinners, which is so good. I really enjoyed it. It was definitely a book that it had so many different threads and notes that kind of kept me wanting to know what was real in it.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about how this book came about for you, and in your own words, what is it about?
Okay, so I'll start with the second question first. Just briefly, well, as briefly as I can, A Spell for Saints and Sinners is about a young woman named Ingrid, who is a psychic witch. She has inherited her grandmother's business. It's like a sidewalk psychic business in Savannah. And she's also inherited her townhouse on a square in Savannah. And she's really trying to keep the house up, pay the bills, keep it in good repair, which is a challenge. And so she's struggling financially when she gets this bachelorette party, and she does a reading for the bride that happens to just nail it. She gets it really right. And it's just kind of a snowball from there. She gets pulled into this young woman's family. This is the wealthiest family in Savannah. They've got a lot of secrets. They've got a lot of power and privilege. And Ingrid is like overwhelmed with her new position with them. But then things start to go sideways, as they do in my books. And she finds herself in some really compromising situations and really has to decide, like, how am I going to play this? Do I want to stay with this family or not? Yeah. So, and then there's a little murder, as there always is. So, but yeah, the genesis of this book was really kind of an unusual situation for me. I, oddly enough, was watching the movie Taxi Driver with my son. I know, weird. It's like I'm a huge film
what?
buff.
I was like, you were watching Practical Magic? You were watching what?
No.
Taxi Driver?
No. This took a turn. Yeah, I was watching Taxi Driver. It's a movie that like everybody knows about. And as a huge film buff, I'm like, why have I never seen this movie? But I hadn't. So I was like, I'm going to sit down and watch this. And of course, the story is about this guy who's a loner. He's isolated. The Robert De Niro character, the taxi driver. And so what he does is he starts to collect weapons, and he's going to shoot a politician. So that's kind of the basics of the story, but it really got me to thinking. And of course, it's very prescient, and, you know, we don't have to go into all that, but you know, it got me to thinking about how men sometimes, young men sometimes, when they feel powerless, this is kind of the answer. Gather weapons, you know, stockpile weapons. That makes you, having a gun in your hands makes you feel strong and invincible. And I was really kind of like, what is the gender flip of that? What is something that women can reach for or hold on to or amass that makes them feel in their power? And I really started thinking about witchcraft. And that is something that, while it's not just women, obviously men and all genders and you know, anything in between, everybody can practice witchcraft. There is a very feminine, divine sort of source. And And it's something that I think the feminine has access to that we feel like is ours, you know. And so that was kind of what I started thinking, like, what if there was a young woman who did feel she felt bullied, she felt on the outside and isolated, and her witchcraft is the thing that comforts her. And but that can spill over into a darkness and a dangerous place, just like anything can. So, anyway, that is the very strange beginnings of this story.
Yeah, and I think like that is a big part of it. And not to kind of go too into just anything else, but Ingrid, she really had a hard time growing up because her mother abandoned her.
Right.
And, she grew up, it was like this there's all these waves of satanic panics. And,
Yes.
the time when she was a child was the time of, if correct me if I'm wrong, but, like Sally Jesse Raphael having people on her show talking about how all these little things were demonic and
Yes.
satanic, and
Yeah.
like people being like being accused of crimes because they didn't fit a specific mold,
Yes.
or because they didn't go to church, or because they didn't go to the right church,
Right.
or because they listened to the wrong music.
Right. Right.
And people got really swept up in that. And
Yes.
I mean, I think if people can see, and hopefully, there are people who see this, even now, that you can pretty much glom onto anything, even something that is more traditional, and it can spill over
Yeah.
into
Oh, yeah.
darkness. And because of
Yeah.
that, yes, her witchcraft was, it's like it's a comfort to her, but also it caused a lot of trouble for her as a child. And now
Yeah.
she's feeling this acceptance by like this family. And even though she's kind of being warned away from them by a lot of people, she doesn't necessarily trust the people she's being warned away from either, because they weren't the most reliable people to her in the community
Yeah.
when she was a child. So there's
Yeah.
that. She has like her little group of misfits. She has her housemate Miles, and she has, her not romantic buddy who she trades
Yeah.
yeah, who she sleeps with from sometimes.
Yeah.
But she really like, she's really like almost besotted by Sailor and her family,
Yeah.
and her brother, who's like, to me, I'm like, man, that guy is such an oddball. Like, what are you doing, Ingrid? Why are you so into him? Like,
Yes.
everything
Well, I
about him
think,
is like red flag, red flag, red
yes.
flag.
I mean, I think Ingrid is an oddball too. I mean, and I think she's always felt on the outside because of the bullying and because of her mother abandoning her, and no one else she knew was being raised by a grandmother. And so I think she sees herself in Cass. I think she sees, this oddball, except for that he is in this incredibly wealthy family and he has all this privilege, but he's just like her. He's just a little weirdo too. And she's like, we're perfect for each other.
Yeah, that's an interesting way of looking at it. Because like I was reading, and I'm just like, man, like, really? Him, Ingrid? Really? But I
Yeah.
guess, but that's just kind of the whole family all together.
Yeah.
You have like her dad, the bride's dad, who's
Yeah.
strange, and the
Yeah.
mother, who looks like she could cut your throat out in the
Yeah.
nicest way possible, but also
Yeah.
not. But there is like an allure to the fact that
Yeah.
not only are these people who are like high society in this area, but like they also bring her to their crowd, and it
Yeah.
becomes fortuitous for her. So of course, when everything starts to fail, it's like the rug is being pulled out from under her.
Yeah,
I really felt
exactly.
that.
Yeah, I think that, initially that first sort of obsession that she has with Sailor is just so overwhelming for her that she has somebody who is not only going to be her best friend, but this person is going to put her on retainer and like fix her house for her. And it's nothing, it's just a snap of the finger. And like all of her problems go away. And I think that kind of has a just an overwhelming effect on Ingrid. And so and granted, she's savvy in the ways of her in these kind of psychic ways. She's really, really savvy. But in just like every day, like really seeing people for who they are, she's not so savvy. So I found that really interesting with her character, that she's got this real sort of connection beyond the veil, as it were. And she's just really good at that, but she's just not as good in everyday life. The common sense and the, being able to judge who is on her side and who isn't, is she's not as good.
Yeah, for sure. I can definitely see that. And I mean, I don't want to give too much away, but like it really was like an obsession,
Yeah.
like, and I wasn't sure what direction it was really going to go in either.
Yeah.
As far as, I mean, so Savannah, are you very familiar with that particular area and just sort of how like social society, that's sort of
Yeah.
redundant,
Right.
but how society works down there?
Yeah, I will say, so I'm not from Savannah, but I've spent a lot of time there. I have been going to the Savannah SCAD Film Festival for several years, which is fantastic. It's a great film festival. And that's just kind of my own little personal fun trip that I do almost every year. And so for a couple of years, I had been like, God, I'd really love to set a story here, but I didn't have that story. And then when I came up with the idea for Ingrid, and she's this sidewalk psychic, I was like, oh, this goes together perfectly. I mean, it could be Charleston, it could be New Orleans, but Savannah is the place because, I mean, it's truly a haunted city. And so, yeah, but I'm not from there. I know there is like a definite hierarchy of Savannah, of like old Savannah, and then like nouveau riche Savannah, tourist Savannah, working class Savannah. I've spent enough time, and like I know my family knows people from, so to know kind of that there is a deeply, there's an in group and there's an out group. And I would even say like, well, I would just say like for this book, I kind of made up my own world of Savannah society. Like if somebody who is on the inside of Savannah society reads this, they'll be like, that's not that's not us. But like because there is a very entrenched, very old Southern, group. And but I didn't want to like, it's not nonfiction. I didn't want to like try to represent this perfectly. So I just kind of, I took Savannah, I took a lot of the real locations and the kind of the feeling of it and kind of made my own world there.
So about the magic that Ingrid uses, did you do any research? Was it
Yeah.
sort of based? It's like it to me it feels like a sympathetic magic
Yeah.
is what I would consider it myself.
Yeah, I like that term. That's a really good term. Yeah, I did do a lot of research. And when I first pitched the book, I told my editor, like, this isn't as much as I love practical magic, which I do because I'm a girl. There's not going to be like the Owens book of shadows, where you turn to page 31 and there's your spell for this was I really wanted to represent somebody who practiced witchcraft in a like very realistic way. I also knew after doing a lot of research that practicing witchcraft is very complicated and it's complex. And there's a lot of different opinions on how you should do it and, the quote unquote right way. And what I realized was, again, with the issue of Savannah, like there was going to be no way because I am not a witch. I come from a Christian background. There was no way that I was going to be able to accurately represent it. And so what I wanted to do was kind of create Ingrid's system of magic that she learned from her grandmother Edie. And so, yeah, that gave me a little freedom in the same way that creating that Savannah Society gave me freedom as well. Yeah, I just wanted to do right by it. I wanted to like show just enough of the way like a real practice would look uh, for it to be this kind of light based. But I like that sympathetic witchcraft. That's cool.
What was like your favorite, without giving too much away, your favorite sort of thread in this? Like if there was like a theme or a thread, I'm not going to say character necessarily, but you
Yeah.
can add that in as well.
I mean, there were so many there. I had so much fun with this book. I had fun writing the mom of the bride to be, the wealthy family, they're the Loefflers, and the mom is named Scoot. It's her nickname.
Can
And
I just ask you, because I was curious, because her real name is Laura. And I know, like, like the kids, they have like different names, obviously, and the father is
right.
Will, but it's Aurelian.
Yeah.
Where did
Where did
where did Scoot come from?
So my mother, this was my little sort of shout out to my mom. My mother grew up with a very good friend named Scoot, and that was her nickname. And her real name, I can't even remember. I would have to ask my aunt, but yeah, it was not related at all. And like we never knew why she was called Scoot. And so that's why I named this character Scoot. I don't know if she was like a little baby scooting on her bottom. I don't know. She rode a scooter. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I know. I was trying to figure that out for myself. I'm like, is it like is it like an equestrian nickname? Is
No.
it like
It is, you know what it is? It's Southern. And this is a very like old generation Southern thing. Like Boo Radley. Like, why is his name Boo? It's like you, yeah, it just is. That's his name. And it's weird and it's just very Southern, these odd nicknames that sound very childish on this grown, sophisticated woman. So anyway, she was very fun to write because she's, pretty much horrible and very like she's got a lot of problems and her family has dealt with it by kind of propping her up and giving her this business to run and they're just like as long as she has something to entertain her, she won't create havoc and but she still does. So she was super fun to write. And, I loved writing like this careless family. They have so much money and they're just so careless and with people and with each other. And that was, actually fun to write for me. The witchcraft that Ingrid practices, it was very fun to write. And when she sort of something rises up in her, like, I'm done being bullied. I'm going to, use my witchcraft in a more vindictive way. That was really fun to feel her kind of like feeling her oats and like feeling her power and coming into that a little bit. That was fun to write. It was really fun to write Savannah and the weather and the ghost tours. Ingrid's roommate Miles works for a ghost tour company, so that was really fun to write. Yeah, I just had a ball writing this book. It was fun.
I could tell. So are you working on something after this? You taking a little bit of a break?
Never. I can't take a break because I'm always like bombarded with ideas. But yeah, I sold a book after this. I have a book coming out in 2027, which I'm really excited about. It is a retelling of Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. And
That is one of my favorites.
oh, I love it. I love it. Me too. I mean, obsessed. And it's set in Alabama, Northwest Alabama, Muscle Shoals, which is like the kind of Americana roots music scene up there. Yeah, so it's about a young singer-songwriter, plays the banjo, and gets in with a iconic producer. Yeah, much older than her.
That's a really interesting take, and I can't wait to talk to you about it. So I'm already like putting you on my calendar mentally.
Oh, good. Yeah, it's called Swamp Music.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Okay,
yeah,
I will I'm keeping that on my radar.
yeah, when I came up with the idea, I was like so excited about it that I couldn't sleep. Like it obsessed me. And I actually started taking banjo lessons. I am enamored with the banjo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fun. It's certainly fun. All right. Well, Emily, I can't wait to see what you got next. We will
Yeah.
hopefully be chatting in 2027. This was
Yes.
Jessica with Syosset Libraries Turn the Page podcast. Check out A Spell for Saints and Sinners. It will it will certainly have you wondering what you thought about the book from the beginning to the end. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
All right. So we are going to close this chapter of Turn the Page.
It's time to close this chapter of Turn the Page. Join us for the next episode.